Welcome back to the Collector Store League Challenge held in St. Peters, Missouri. We're here with round 3 of Swiss at the League Challenge. And this round we have Ben, not the same Ben as we saw in round 1, but a different Ben versus Matt. And we've got some cool teams here as well. Different restricted Pokemon we haven't seen so far this round. We will be seeing, as you can see on your screen, a Kyogre team from Ben versus a Zamazenta team from Matt. So, got some cool restricted Pokemon here, and they will be duking it out against each other. The Kyogre is real interesting too. I think this is, if I'm looking at this right, I believe this is a team similar to what Oliver Eskelin used at the World Championships this year. Matt's team, I don't know if there's a history with it. I don't recognize it off the top of my head, but that's just fine because we've got some real powerful Pokemon on Matt's side too. So as you can see, we've got Incineroar, Amoonguss, Rillaboom, Roaring Moon, Rapid-Strike, Urshifu, and Kyogre against Chien-Pao, Amoonguss, Flutter, Chi-Yu, Zamazenta, and Rillaboom. So we've got some interesting dynamics here. The Kyogre really doesn't want to face off against that Rillaboom unless it terastallizes. But if it terastallizes into a grass type, then Chien-Pao can deal heavy damage to it with its Icicle Crash. Still, I think this Kyogre is really inclined. If it's going to get set up, it's probably going to want to go for that Terra Grass because of the impact that Amoonguss and Rillaboom can have. And Kyogre's Drizzle ability will offset the damage that Chi-Yu does, especially with Calm Mind boosts. So this will be an interesting matchup. The Amoonguss on both sides are both thinking the same. They both are holding the Rocky Helmet item, and also both have Sludge Bomb, which is kind of cool. The Incineroar on Ben's side has no Fire-type attack as far as a damaging move. It does have the Will-O-Wisp status move, so that will be useful to reduce the damage of Matt's physical attacker. So maybe the Incineroar is actually the thing that wants to terastallize here. By becoming a ghost type, it can become immune to the Zamazenta's body press, and use its intimidates and parting shots to really good effect. We'll see what happens though. We see a Flutter and Chien-Pao start off for Matt as Ben leads with Rillaboom and Urshifu. So, well, the Flutter is going to activate its Booster Energy, which is threatening big damage onto the Urshifu. The Urshifu could terastallize to get out of that. It's Terra Ghost, so it'd kind of be one of those 50-50 terastallizations with Moonblast versus the Shadow Ball. So I imagine it doesn't want to deal with that. The Rillaboom here is pressuring some big damage into the Flutter Mane. If the Flutter Mane does stay in, Chien-Pao will be boosting the damage that this Grassy Glide will do by weakening the Flutter Mane's defense. Typically, Flutter Mane that are booster energy and have supporting moves like Icy Wind, typically they end up being a bit more bulky, but this Flutter Mane does have Shadow Ball, so maybe this Flutter Mane has more offense in it, so that Shadow Ball can do more damage to key threats. So we'll just have to see. Moonblast here, though, is definitely still threatening the Urshifu. Chien-Pao is also threatening a lot of damage into this Rillaboom, too. Looks like Flutter Mane actually wanted to switch out, though. Says, I don't think you're going to just give me your Urshifu. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively double into my Amoonguss. And yep, the Urshifu does switch out in response. The Urshifu switching out, instead going to be replaced by the Amoonguss as well for Ben's side. But actually, we see a double switch. The Chien-Pao also leaving the field for Zamazenta, so a double switch happening here. The Rillaboom is going to do very low damage with the Grass-type attack that it's selected, but yeah. Drum Beating, lowering the Amoonguss' speed, probably means that the Amoonguss on Ben's side is now faster than the Amoonguss on Matt's side, but that will likely have very low impact. The Amoonguss does recover a little bit of HP with the grassy terrain. So now Zamazenta is in a tricky spot. Zamazenta really doesn't want to take a Spore, really doesn't want to body press into a Rocky Helmet on the Amoonguss either. So yeah, we just see it Protect. I wonder how that's going to change things though. U-turn does land into the Zamazenta, so no ground gained there, but what changes next turn? How do you stop the Spore next turn? The Spore into any of Chien-Pao, Flutter Mane, or Zamazenta will put something to sleep. And although Sludge Bomb does do some damage back to Rillaboom, because of that Assault Vest doesn't do too much damage, though it does get a poison. Getting a poison this early will be nice. I imagine this Rillaboom will be sticking around for a little while, so using the poison to chip it down is going to definitely be impactful over time. And now, again, the Zamazenta is like, what do you want to do? Do you want to body press the Rillaboom, take a KO, then trade that for Spore? Do you want to potentially risk attacking into a Rocky Helmet? I don't think there's a really great answer for anything here. Potentially, maybe the Amoonguss should be getting off the board. If the Amoonguss leaves for Chien-Pao, then maybe a Chien-Pao and Zamazenta attack could pick up the Amoonguss. But no, Amoonguss decides, I'm not going to go for Spore. I'm just going to protect my Rillaboom. Don't want it to be KO'd just yet. I'll take the body press fairly comfortably. Not going to be KO'd anytime soon from that. U-turn will force the Zamazenta out. Now this is kind of tricky. Do you want to? Oh, this could be kind of tricky. If something comes in on a Spore, that could be potentially pretty bad. Like if this Kyogre takes a sleep before it's able to terrestrialize to a grass type to get around that, then this might be pretty tricky all of a sudden. But no grass type. Instead, we just see a Sludge Bomb. No poison this time onto the Kyogre. So Kyogre is going to recover from both the leftovers and the grassy terrain, and I anticipate that this will likely be a Terra Grass onto the Kyogre as well. A Terra Grass Calm Mind would be pretty effective, as well as Spore into the Zamazenta. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that this Kyogre has Origin Pulse and Ice Beam as its attacking boost, so that means that it's actually not able to deal damage to the Zamazenta very quickly if it goes for Wide Guard, which the Zamazenta does have. So Wide Guard Zamazenta could potentially block this Kyogre's damage for several turns, but if it does that, it's not going to do much back either. It seems Amoonguss is going to switch out too. Not thinking that the Spore is the right call there. Wanting to go into Rillaboom and catching the Protect on Zamazenta, so nothing really changing there. Kyogre also going for a Protect. So let's see what the Amoonguss does. Very unlikely to Sludge Bomb into the opposing Amoonguss slot. Yeah, we just see Sludge Bomb into the Kyogre. So now there is active Fake Out and Calm Mind, but I don't know. What are you aiming for here? Are you trying to Fake Out Zama and Terra Grass Calm Mind with Kyogre? Are you trying to go for Fake Out an Ice Beam? Are you trying to do Fake Out an Origin Pulse? Yeah, I think it has to be Terrestrialization, right? Unless you're wanting to Fake Out into the Amoonguss. This is a bold move. Well, I guess in fairness, the Terra Grass is fairly obvious. So if you hang on to that, then maybe that's worth it. Fake Out does land into the Zamazenta. That'll prevent it from going for likely a body press. If it had gone for Wide Guard, it would have gone before the Fake Out. And Calm Mind does increase the Kyogre special attack and special defense. So if this is a Sludge Bomb into the Kyogre, it actually could be bad for a couple reasons. But no Sludge Bomb, just a Spore. Calling out that saying, hey, yeah, you haven't terrestrialized yet. You probably should have last turn. That means you're probably not going to. So now this Kyogre is sleeping. And the Zamazenta is in a decent spot. The Amoonguss did heal HP from its Regenerator ability when it switched out. So when it comes back in, it should be able to take multiple body presses. But I don't know, this is kind of tricky. This is probably a good opportunity for the Amoonguss on Matt's side to get off the board and potentially go back into Chien-Pao. That would increase the damage that body press would do, as well as pressure if the Amoonguss comes back in. Let's see if that happens, though. Nope, it's just a body press into the Kyogre. That does so much damage. That's a lot of damage in that Kyogre. Amoonguss is likely just going to Sludge Bomb into, just the Kyogre, so doing a little bit more damage to it as well. That Kyogre does have leftover, so chipping it down does mean that it's going to be harder for the Kyogre to recover health. I imagine this is a pretty straightforward Rage Powder and attack play with the Kyogre, though. The question is, what are you doing? Like, I don't think Ice Beam will knock out Amoonguss in a single hit, even with that Calm Mind boost. So, I don't know, it's still going to be kind of tricky. And no Rage Powder, so Zamazenta's just going to take the KO there on Kyogre. This better be a Spore into the opposing Zamazenta as a punish, because Sludge Bomb I don't think is good enough. The Amoonguss trades Sludge Bombs, but yeah, that just feels like the Kyogre just fainted and it dealt no damage. That's hugely impactful. Now, like, what are you going to do? If you go into your Urshifu, that could just get redirected by Amoonguss. If you go into your Rillaboom, so what? Like, the Zamazenta just, like, how do you break it? The only way you're going to break the Zamazenta is with your Urshifu, realistically. Grass type of moves are not going to do nearly enough into the Zamazenta. And your Urshifu can't break past this Amoonguss, so I think Matt's got this on lock. I don't see how Ben has enough damage to be able to break this board. Zamazenta also just playing it like hyper safe, just saying, yeah, I'm just going to protect. The Amoonguss protecting as well. Double protecting on the fake out. That'll do a little bit of extra damage to the Rillaboom. Heal the Zamazenta and the Amoonguss on Matt's side as well. This is pretty good, I'd say, for Matt. That's really no downside of doing that play either. Like, the punish on Ben's side would have been Urshifu coming in. And, like, again, nothing changes for that. Urshifu can't break this Amoonguss, which can just go for Rage Powder. So, I think the, oh, it looks like, looks like Ben agrees with me and has, gone to the classic strategy of attacking your own Pokemon. Man, wow. You can tell how, oppressive this Zamazenta and, Amoonguss combination is if at 3 Pokemon still remaining, Ben feels like there's no way to come back in this game. But yeah, I don't see how you're going to do it. Sludge Bomb does whiff into nothing. Amoonguss goes for Spore, trying to catch something switching out. But yeah, like, I don't see a way out of this one. It's actually going to take a while for Ben to KO all of his Pokemon by side targeting, but yeah, hopefully he goes for the Surging Strikes into Amoonguss. Yeah, there we go. That's the thing to do. Yeah, just go ahead and give that one up. Kyogre going down there, I think, was just not acceptable. And also Spore not going into the Zamazenta as well. Like, I feel like Ben had opportunity to go for Spore into that Zamazenta to really let his Kyogre have a lot more free reign. Like, you Spore the Zamazenta, you Rage Powder until it wakes up, you protect Spore again. You Terra Grass in front of the Amoonguss and go for Calm Mind. We saw that Matt wasn't very eager to go for doubles into Chien-Pao to try to pin Amoonguss or Kyogre if Kyogre stayed a Grass type, with the combination of Ice Cool Crash and Body Press. Didn't seem inclined to do that. So, this game too, I'm expecting Ben to want to adjust to potentially try to handle this Amoonguss a lot better. The Amoonguss, I think, was a big problem. We do see Roaring Moon potentially locked in. That Rillaboom did almost nothing. The Rillaboom's role in that last game was basically just a fake out and grassy terrain bot. Its other moves were very ineffective. So it does not surprise me to see Roaring Moon as the adjustment, but also Roaring Moon, although it is slightly better into Zamazenta if it terrestrializes to the flying type, I don't really know. Is that what you want to go for? Is Terra Flying on your Roaring Moon your angle? Or is Terra Grass on Kyogre the angle to be able to block that all-important Spore? We'll have to see. If I'm that, I'm feeling pretty good about that game. I think the early turns were kind of awkward. We saw some really, we saw all those doubles happening on the first turn, so Matt could have gotten punished for that double switch, dealing no damage, but Ben wasn't able to take advantage of it because of the offensive pressure that Matt was exerting. Using that offensive pressure to make safe plays was a really smart move, and we'll see how it shakes out in Game 2. So an adjustment already. We see Rillaboom on the side of Matt. Rillaboom and Flutter main as the lead. Rillaboom looking real good into this Urshifu. Same with the Flutter main. Again, this is the same situation as Game 1 where a fake out, not a fake out, and Moonblast into the Urshifu is threatening big damage, and you really don't want to, like, commit your Terrestrialization with Urshifu. Like, committing Terrestrialization with Urshifu means you don't have it on Zamazenta, excuse me, you don't have it for Zamazenta with Roaring Moon, and you don't have it for Kyogre with Terra Grass. But consider what you've just done here. You potentially switched your Roaring Moon in on a Moonblast, but nope, there's no Moonblast coming out. Instead, just a double into Amoonguss, wanting to block the Spore that was potentially aimed that way. I would expect the Rillaboom to be going for something like a Wood Hammer here as a result then. If that's the case, then Ben is definitely going to get the best out of this turn. Roaring Moon is coming in. It's going to use its booster energy. I anticipate this will be a speed booster energy. Yep, it is speed booster, so that will let it be faster than this Flutter main that could come back in now. But yeah, you turn into the Roaring Moon. Oh my goodness. Poor Ben, taking a lot of damage with Roaring Moon on the switch, and though that could have been a Moonblast, could have been Fake Out Moonblast, but not wanting to commit too hard. This will likely be Zamazenta coming in, if I had to guess. I don't know. It could be. It's either Zamazenta or Flutter Mane, right? Looks like it is Zamazenta. So Ben now has all of Matt's Pokemon, knows all the information that there is to know on this turn. Spore does whiff into what was Flutter Mane, now Amoonguss. The situation has changed a little bit, though. With Roaring Moon on the field, it now can go for a Acrobatics into this Amoonguss. The Amoonguss could Terrasilize to get around that. This Amoonguss is Terra Fairy, so it won't take very much damage from Knockoff for sure, and Acrobatics will deal not very much damage, even from a Terra flying Roaring Moon. So I'm still so surprised. Let me just make sure I'm not reading the team sheet wrong. It is Terra Dragon on the Zamazenta, so still no Spores being aimed that way. Potentially wanting to use Sludge Bomb into the Amoonguss here. I see now. Maybe wanting to catch a Terrasalization from the Amoonguss early, and using Sludge Bomb to deal damage to the now Fairy-type Amoonguss. That could be the angle that he's aiming for, but no Terra Fairy. The Amoonguss says, your pressure is fake with Acrobatics. I don't think you're really going to go for it, or just going for Protect. That covers that as well. Now Body Press whiffs into the Roaring Moon, so Spore into Zamazenta would be a very big punish here, but we already saw that it was actually Sludge Bomb clicked into this Amoonguss, so not going to be any anything really happening this turn except for Roaring Moon recovering a little bit more HP. The thing is, like, I don't know, do you want to go for your Terrasalization with Roaring Moon? If you do that, then you might pick up the Amoonguss, but if you do, it might come at the cost of a Body Press just picking you up anyway. You'd take Rocky Helmet damage, and then Body Press is a strong move. Roaring Moon doesn't have that much defense. Even though you're resisting the attack, you've already taken a lot of damage on switching. I don't know. I'm just so surprised that Spores aren't being thrown the way of Zamazenta. We'll see what happens on this turn, though. It is kind of if Ben can get this Amoonguss, like if the Amoonguss will go down to a combination attack of Acrobatics and Sludge Bomb, then it will free up his Kyogre later, but I don't know. I don't think he really needs Terrasalization on anything else anyway. We'll see what happens, though. The Amoonguss does Terrasilize to a Terra Fairy, so definitely not going to go down to this Acrobatics. I don't think Acrobatics and Sludge Bomb will get it either, but we'll have to see. Zamazenta actually going for Protect, so getting nothing out of the turn. Ben is now going to get 2 free attacks into this Amoonguss. And yeah, you can see that does absolutely nothing. Terrifying. Would not have picked up the knockout on Amoonguss, even without that, I don't think. Sludge Bomb actually does way more. No poison in return. Actually, there's a Spore into the Roaring Moon. So now the Roaring Moon unable to act this next turn. The downside of going for that Terra Fairy on Amoonguss, though, is that it now is possible to be Spored. So you could go for Spore into that Amoonguss, and yep, looks like that's what that's what's being considered here by Ben. So putting that slot to sleep could be important. Rillaboom could come in and stop that, but looks like it hasn't. Zamazenta has been avoiding all of these sleeps, so Zamazenta is not very sleepy, I guess. Maybe it's got an implicit safety goggles on it somewhere that's not on the team sheet that I can't see. But Spore into the Amoonguss, actually kind of unideally going before the opposing Amoonguss. Now Amoonguss has taken its first sleep turn. It probably would have been nicer if you didn't have to take that, but again, not the end of the world. I anticipate that probably Kyogre wants to come in now. Yep. This will probably be Calm Mind for sure, and then I really think you can go for Spore, but a Rage Powder would also be okay. Potentially, you could also go for a Spore and Protect into the Zamazenta. The Zamazenta is not being targeted by Spore, and it's not being affected by Rage Powder, so I don't know. Maybe there's some bet between these two that he's not allowed to use Spore on Zamazenta or something. I don't know. Oh, man. This Amoonguss is allergic to clicking Spore on Zamazenta. We do see Amoonguss switch out, though. But surely this is Rillaboom coming in, right? Yeah, Rillaboom. So, although Spore would have punished potential Flutter Mane coming in, I don't think Flutter Mane would have really improved the board that much. We do see the Protect on Zamazenta, so no Spores aimed that way. No punish at all. The Kyogre does throw for the Calm Mind. And it will get set up now with that increased stage of special attack and special defense. Spore whiffs into the Rillaboom. And if I'm Matt, I've got to be like wondering to myself, like, why is this Amoonguss never targeting the Zamazenta with Spore? But now, like, Amoonguss is in a really good spot. You can finally Spore this Amoonguss, or Spore this Zamazenta, and Protect on Kyogre. I imagine this will probably be Fake Out into the Amoonguss and Body Press into the Kyogre, but it's not a huge deal either way. Looks like considering going for an attack as well. Oh my gosh, go for the Spore, dude. Oh, poor Benny's gonna rewatch this and be like, what's going on? Why does Leonard think I should go for Spore? I don't know. But a Terra Grass on Kyogre now will weaken the attack from Rillaboom, who also lost Grassy Terrain as well. So let's see what ends up happening. Just Fake Out into the Amoonguss. Yep, no surprise there. The downside of this play is that, oh, actually Body Press into the Amoonguss. Interesting. So predicting a Protect on Kyogre doesn't get it. This Ice Beam into Rillaboom might actually KO after the Rocky Helmet chip. Nope. Rillaboom too bulky for that. Able to easily survive and not going to recover any additional HP either because Grassy Terrain is not up. So this Rillaboom is very low HP, unlikely to get much more done in this battle. We see here that Ben is considering switching out the Amoonguss. Amoonguss would get regenerated from that and could potentially come in fairly safely. One thing that I'm a little bit worried about if I'm Ben is if U-turn and Body Press would do too much damage to the Kyogre, but no worries about that here. Amoonguss coming in, still snoozing. Body Press actually goes into the Kyogre, deals a lot of damage. Kyogre goes for Origin Pulse and hits both. That'll be a knockout on Amoonguss. And a knockout on Zamazenta. It's 2 KOs. Terrestrialization down for Matt. And also the Restricted Legendary down. So, finally, Ben gets 2 KOs here. Zamazenta going down. Now Amoonguss attempting to use Spore. Would have eventually hit that Zamazenta, but now doesn't need to. The Kyogre did take some damage from that Body Press, but not enough. Rillaboom coming in and Flutter Mane, I don't think are going to be able to do enough damage. I think this is probably just a straightforward Protect, and then you go for, well, maybe not. No, actually, I think this is straightforward because the Rillaboom, if it decides to attack into the Amoonguss, will be KO'd, so it can't go for Fake Out into Amoonguss, so I think you can just safely go for Spore into Flutter Mane. Or Rage, or Sludge Bomb into the, yeah, I don't think there's any way around this. Yeah, I like this play. Because if Matt wants to punish this by going for a Fake Out into the Amoonguss, it's not really a punish because it'll just be KO'd. And yeah, we do just see an Icy Wind, probably an Icy Wind and U-turn combination attack, so Spore is pretty devastating here. Again, this Rillaboom cannot attack the Amoonguss unless it doesn't have a contact move, which it in fact does. All of its moves are contact that it could have hit the Amoonguss with. And yeah, the Spore into the Flutter Mane is going to be pretty devastating. We will see the interaction of speed here between the Kyogre and Rillaboom. I don't know if we've seen that yet. Rillaboom is faster, so it would not have needed that Icy Wind in order to be faster than the Rillaboom. But yeah, now at this point, I think the one of the biggest issues you're going to have is this Amoonguss. Like, how are you actually going to break this Amoonguss? The Flutter Mane is going to have to defeat the Flutter Mane is going to have to defeat the Amoonguss with Icy Winds and Shadow Balls. That's going to take a while. There was Sludge Bomb and Origin Pulse locked in as well. I don't think Rillaboom is threatening a knockout on Kyogre, and even if it was, a Sludge Bomb follow-up would pick up the KO. Yeah, U-turn just not doing enough. Origin Pulse does double connect as well. That will end the game. If Flutter Mane survives the attack, which it does, it will be felled by the follow-up Sludge Bomb. So Ben not taking my advice and using Spore into the Zamazenta more, but still managed to come off on top there. I think by effectively using that Terra Grass on Kyogre. I think that was the big difference maker. And we saw there that, I think we see how, like, pressuring this Amoonguss is from Ben's team. Spore is just, like, so oppressive into the Flutter Mane and Zamazenta that Matt is bringing. So I really like Chien-Pao here. I think Chien-Pao should be coming from Matt. Potentially maybe worried about how Chien-Pao matches up into the, like if the Amoonguss just terrestrializes. But again, if Amoonguss terrestrializes, then your Amoonguss now has a big advantage. So we'll have to see. I think this is the battle of the Amoonguy. Yeah, the Amoonguy. It's not, you have multiple Amoonguss, so it's the Amoonguy, right? So, yeah. we're getting into game 3 now, and we'll have to see how either player adjusts. That Urshifu from Ben's side is really not cutting it, I don't think. That Urshifu is I think it's done like very little overall. Checking stats there with Incineroar. 84 speed. Well, there's a little bit of speed on it. But yeah, I guess this Urshifu does threaten the Chien-Pao. That's its biggest role. And then Urshifu is also useful into the Zamazenta. And I guess it's like, what do you bring otherwise, right? Like, if you want to terrestrialize your Kyogre into this, then you really don't want to bring Incineroar because it's not going to tear a Ghost. Unless I'm wrong. Oh, I guess that is an advantage. Wait. Did Ben not bring Amoonguss? I don't think Ben brought Amoonguss. Okay. Well, that means... Well, he still does have a Spore Resist with the safety goggles on the Incineroar. And I guess, again, the Incineroar would be good here if you can Terra Ghost versus the Zamazenta and, like, get off on Will-O-Wisp versus it. That could be pretty good. And maybe Ben's saying, like, I can just take the trades versus your Amoonguss. Like, even if I sleep, if I, like, burn your Zamazenta, if I, like, burn your Chien-Pao, then I'm feeling good either way. So it's the final game, a game 3 here between Matt and Ben. Let's see how it shapes out. We got Chien-Pao and Fluttermane against Roaring Moon and Rillaboom. So the Fluttermane is faster than the Roaring Moon, threatening a knockout with Moonblast here. And Chien-Pao is faster than the Rillaboom, threatening a knockout with Icicle Crash. So what do you do here? I would anticipate probably this is a fake out into the Chien-Pao and a Moonblast into the Roaring Moon. However, another thing to consider is last game when Matt used Terrestrialization, it wasn't especially impactful. The Chien-Pao kind of just, or excuse me, the Amoonguss kind of got slept, and the Terra Fairy didn't really help all that much. Might have even survived the combination attack of Acrobatics and Sludge Bomb without it. So potentially what you could do here, if your Matt is Terra Ghost the Chien-Pao and go for an Icicle Crash into Rillaboom, since, again, I think it's decently likely that this Rillaboom is going to use Fake Out, and it's the Roaring Moon that wants to go for the Terrestrialization, but that's not what Ben's considering. It looks like there's instead going to be a Protect from Roaring Moon and a Drum Beating. So if this is just Icicle Crash then and Moonblast, then this could be pretty devastating. We'll see what happens, though. An Icy Wind Icicle Crash play into the Roaring Moon would also be threatening, but doesn't look like it. Looks like we saw some super effective options. We're going to click some super effective options. We got an Icicle Crash. Oh, but it misses! Oh, wait, no. It hit into the Roaring Moon. All right. Covering for the Terra Flying there, actually. Okay. So this actually was the best case scenario for Ben, using Drum Beating now into Fluttermane, crucially lowering its speed, meaning that Moonblast no longer threatens a knockout onto it. Okay. A crisis averted. Yeah. The super effective move was clicked, but it was into the Roaring Moon. So now we will have the Roaring Moon be the fastest thing on the field. So potentially could pick up a KO on the Chien-Pao with a Acrobatics and Grassy Glide combination attack. I don't know if you need Terrestrialization for that. Looks like Ben doesn't think so. Will Grassy Glide and Acrobatics do enough? I'd say it would. It did 50%. Surely Acro does as well. Yep, Acrobatics does enough. Could lose the Roaring Moon in exchange for that. We'll see what the Fluttermane opts to do. Just an Icy Wind. So that will mean the Fluttermane is now faster again than the Roaring Moon. But the difference between turn 1 and now is that this Fluttermane is in KO range of Grassy Glide. So although Fluttermane is faster than the Roaring Moon, all it really does is attract the attention of that Grassy Glide. I guess Zamazenta could come out as well, though. Zamazenta and Roaring Moon. Who's faster between the two? If Roaring Moon is speed booster, then it has to be a certain amount of speed on it. Zamazenta could outspeed it depending on if the Zamazenta is fast enough and the Roaring Moon is slow enough. I'd expect that the Roaring Moon is currently faster than the Zamazenta. Typically, you want to have a lot of bulk on your Zamazenta and not a lot of speed. I'll have to see how it cashes out, though. Looks like it doesn't want to risk figuring out who's faster. Gonna go ahead and commit to that Terra Flying. That'll mean Body Press won't do very much damage into Roaring Moon. Fluttermane does go for that Protect. Worried about the potential damage that could be aimed its way. Grassy Glide was aimed its way, and so now Roaring Moon can either go for a Tailwind, setting up for its partners later, or potentially go for a Terra Flying Acrobatics. Was aimed into the Fluttermane, so trying to catch potentially an Amoonguss coming in there on a double. It doesn't get it. Body press into the Roaring Moon. Does do about half, so it will survive. Now the Flutter main is still probably under pressure of, like, you don't want to switch, I don't think. And Ben realizing that, saying, no, I don't think you're just going to switch your Flutter main into Amoonguss and lose your whole Amoonguss. I'm wrong. I mean, that's not Amoonguss coming in. No, it is Amoonguss. So, would have taken the knockout there on Amoonguss, but gets it right. Grassy Glide into Amoonguss will do very low damage, and Roaring Moon now not wanting to go for that acrobatics into the Amoonguss. Instead sets up Tailwind, which will be useful for its partners later. Body Press should pick up the remaining HP onto the Roaring Moon. So, Terrestrialization has been spent on this Roaring Moon. The Flutter main is low HP, and Matt has not used Terrestrialization yet, so it's not clear who's going to come out on top with this. The Rillaboom and Amoonguss will recover a little bit of HP with Grassy Terrain recovery. I don't know. Is Kyogre going to be able to do enough? That's the big question. With Terrestrialization already spent, what's stopping a Wide Guard and Spore into this Kyogre? I don't really know what it is. Your biggest punish would be Ice Beam and U-turn into the Amoonguss. Protecting as well would be useful, I guess. Maybe you can U-turn into a better board. But again, I don't see what you're really doing to stop the Wide Guard. Maybe if Amoonguss was in the back, then you could take Spore trade. So maybe you could U-turn into the Amoonguss, then go for Origin Pulse and Spore into the Zamazenta. And then you just hope that you wake up before the opposing Zamazenta. But that's not what happens. The Zamazenta goes for Body Press into the Kyogre. Doesn't get anything out of the turn. And U-turn lands into the Amoonguss, who is, of course... actually, that's an interesting speed dynamic, because Tailwind was set up, but the Zamazenta was still faster than Rillaboom. So Rillaboom is likely fairly slow, and Zamazenta is likely fairly fast for that to pan out. And we do see Incineroar coming in, and... yeah, I don't know about Incineroar here. Incineroar won't be put to sleep by a Spore if Spore was aimed that way. It looks like Spore was aimed at the Kyogre, so no ground gained there, but again, what changes? Wide Guard should be going before Incineroar's Fake Out, unless Zamazenta is slow, but we saw the Zamazenta move before the Rillaboom, so surely it's faster. Wide Guard will move before the Fake Out coming out from Incineroar. But there is no Wide Guard. Instead, we just see an Ice Beam into the Amoonguss. Not enough for a KO. Zamazenta just goes for Body Press. Gets a 1-hit KO on that Incineroar. A critical hit to boot, but I don't know. Unless you're like max defense, you're not surviving that with Incineroars. And if this is a Spore into the Kyogre, yes, it is. Kyogre's going to be taking the snooze. So that's a really important turn for Matt. Calls out, hey, I don't think you're going to Fake Out into my Zamazenta. Maybe calling that, yeah, Wide Guard's really obvious here. I'm just going to go for Body Press. You have to be the one to make the call here, not me. And getting a whole lot of damage. Now the Amoonguss is low HP. It will be felled by probably just a single Origin Pulse. Maybe a U-turn? I don't know. It's going to be close there, but you don't Fake Out the Zamazenta. You don't stop the Body Press. And I think Zamazenta is really, really inclined to go for that Body Press here. And yeah, we don't see that. A U-turn does land into the Amoonguss, does pick up the KO. Will take even more damage from the Rocky Helmet. But Body Press in either of these Pokemon is just going to be so devastating. It'll probably pick up the Rillaboom, and it'll do a ton of damage into this Kyogre. Definitely put it in the KO range of another Body Press later. And although Flutter main is on the field, I think Grassy Terrain is going to be ending soon. I don't think the Grassy Terrain was recently set up. So although this round of healing will occur, Tailwind peters out. Looks like it hasn't petered out yet for the Grassy Terrain. So Grassy Glide is still threatening a knockout on Flutter main, but so what? Unless you can survive this incoming Body Press and get a KO in return with Origin Pulse, it doesn't really change anything. Although, I did forget about that Drum Beating. Drum Beating could potentially put the Kyogre faster than the Zamazenta, and that would be impactful. Looks like Flutter main does protect. So Grassy Glide will land into this. Oh no, there wasn't a Grassy Glide used. Wait, what happened? Oh wait, that was Protect. Yeah, Protect from Kyogre. Mixing up my my speed order there. Sleep Turn on the Kyogre does nothing, and we do see a Body Press land, and the Rillaboom is KO'd. So if the Kyogre had got the 1-turn wake, it wouldn't have mattered. The Rillaboom has now been felled. And I don't see the Kyogre making a comeback here. I don't anticipate that the Kyogre would knock out either of these Pokemon with Origin Pulse. And even if it does, yeah, you have to Protect here in order to get enough recovery back to even stand a chance. But if you do this, the downside of doing this is now there can just be a double Protect on the opposing side to stall out a rain turn. So although Kyogre is gaining HP, it's not going to be doing enough, I think, to actually make this comeback. I think even if you just attack from mass perspective, if you just go for the Moonblast and the Body Press, I think it's going to be enough. And yeah, Rain's already over, so no need to even double Protect here. You can just go for the all-out offense. Origin Pulse, even with a critical hit, probably is not going to get Zamazenta now. Maybe with a critical hit in the rain, it might have had a shot on Zamazenta, but I don't think it's going to do it. And that's if it even survives this incoming attack. Moonblast is going to come out, dealing plenty of damage to this Kyogre. That's definitely going to be enough for Body Press. Body Press comes out, takes out Kyogre, and Matt is now your winner of round 3 of Swiss here at the Collector's Store League Challenge for VGC. So, well played by Matt there. I think Matt, in the Battle of the Amoonguss, used the Amoonguss a little bit better. We didn't even see Amoonguss from Ben in Game 3. I really think that Amoonguss was pretty powerful. So leaving it behind for Incineroar, which I think did nothing in the end. I think Incineroar, it just got felled by a single Body Press. Didn't even go for a Fake Out. So poor Incineroar didn't get to do what it wanted there because it didn't have its Terrestrialization to use. Having to commit Terrestrialization so early from Ben's side onto that Roaring Moon, I think, is another reason why he got set so far back. It just meant those Spores and Body Presses could just always hit the right marks and put Ben in the driver's seat.